I remember going on summer holidays with my family when I was younger, and we loved the beach. So we'd often go to Cornwall. Now, it was a long drive from Wales to Cornwall, but whenever we started to get close, there was always one game that we would play. First to see the sea. You know it, right? Yeah, you're on the motorway for hours, you're driving through the country lanes, and mum or dad pipes up, first to see the sea wins! And then all of a sudden it's game on. Everyone is stretching their necks, desperately hoping to be the first person to see a flash of blue or some waves crashing up against the rocks. Now, there's two things I loved most about that game. Here's the first one, winning it. I was the youngest in my family, so if I could ever beat my brother and sister in anything, I was buzzing. But the second reason I love the game so much is because seeing the sea marked the start of the holiday. That was the moment to start getting really excited. All those hopes of bodyboarding in the sea, digging massive holes in the beach, eating endless ice cream, suddenly started to become a reality, a certainty. It's brilliant. But with that in mind, come with me now to those verses again. It's a big moment. Here's why. For about 3 years, Jesus has been walking alongside a group of people who have actually become really good friends. But then everything goes wrong. In the space of about 24 hours, he's hosting a meal for them all, and then suddenly gets arrested, beaten up, spat on, slagged off by everyone, and hung up on a wooden cross to die. Those good times, the tight friendship, ruined. More than that, the leader, the one who brought everyone together, he's gone. Can you imagine what it must have been like for them? Can you imagine how they must have felt? See, some of them loved Jesus. They just wanted him to be able to be sat next to him again. Some of them really trusted Jesus, and none of them had anyone who knew them the way Jesus did. And a lot of them, they really followed Jesus. He was their leader. But more than that, you know what? They wanted him to be everybody's leader. They had hopes that he might eventually be the king of the land, the one who would finally topple that Roman rule and make things better for everyone. But you know what? All those hopes, all those dreams, all of those desires, gone. Gone. Crushed. Jesus is dead. Until this happened. On the evening of that first day of the week, when the disciples were together, with the doors locked for fear of the Jewish leaders, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." And after he said this, he showed them his hands and his side. The disciples were overjoyed when they saw the Lord. Oh, can you imagine what that must have felt like? Oh my goodness. You know it in sport, don't you? You know, you're involved in any form of competition and it just feels like the game is over. The race is done and dusted. There's no chance. It's all finished. The result is certain. And then out of nowhere, things just suddenly change and you go on to win. It's incredible, isn't it? That must have been what it was like, or at least a little bit like, for those people in the room in this moment. Those tears of pain suddenly turned to tears of joy. All the doom and the gloom and the sorrow smashed. Now with cheers, laughter, high fives all around, hugs. All though, except for one person, Thomas. He's not there. He finds out about it a little bit later on when his mates come up and find him and tell him what's happened. But you see, Thomas's reaction, did you see it? It's very different to everyone else. Look at it again. But he said to them, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were and put my hand in his side, I will not believe." Thomas is having none of it. Well, look how it unfolds for Thomas again. Verse 26. A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand. Put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Right, game-changing moment, yeah? This is no longer second-hand information for Thomas. No, this is in-his-face information that he cannot avoid. And just notice two things with me here. See the first thing, Jesus makes him do exactly the thing he demanded needed to happen if he was ever going to believe what his mates were claiming. This wasn't like a distancy in the back of someone's head hoping it was Jesus. No, this is daylight, real time, life on life with other people in the room watching on. And secondly, notice what Jesus says to him. Do you see it? Stop doubting and believe. See, Thomas has got a choice to make in this moment. Continue doubting, call his mates crazy, ignore the bloke in front of him who's claiming to be Jesus, or realize it's actually him. That his mates were true, they were right, and Jesus is alive right in front of him. That was the choice he had to make. And verse 28 tells us what he chose. Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." What did Thomas do? He stopped doubting and he believed. Maybe you sat there though now and you think, cool story, thanks Dave, but you know what, no chance. Not having it. No. Maybe you're thinking, could have happened, and I don't really doubt it, but to be honest, it doesn't really make much difference to me. Well, maybe you sat there and you're just starting to think, you know what, if this is true, if Jesus actually did come back to life, and this is a pretty big deal because I don't know anyone has ever done that. Question for you though is this: what does it look like for you to have certain hope in life? The problem with most of the things we put our hope in is actually they can change so easily, can't they? You remember my family holidays I was telling you about? I'll never forget one of them. I was looking forward to this one quite a lot, but on the first day we were on the beach and I was having an apple, and as I took a bite of this apple, a wasp flew into my mouth and the sting actually got stuck in my tongue. Panic. My dad threw me on his back, ran us to the top of the hill where the hospital was, and they took it out. I was okay, you'll be pleased to know. But look, for a few days after, I just missed out on all the holiday sweets and treats. My tongue was massive. Look, it's often the way. Stuff we really hope for. Do you know what? It can go wrong, can't it? Or it just doesn't seem to pull through. Thinking about it a little bit more seriously for a second. I don't know, you might hope to be a professional sports person. And look, some people do. But the stats tell for themselves, many people don't. I don't know, all it takes is an injury, a dip in form, a bad day at the trial, and the hope is gone. You might hope in a job which brings money and a nice lifestyle. And look, some people get this. But again, it doesn't always happen. And do you know what? When it does, it isn't guaranteed to last or fulfill. Jobs change, money fades, big things happen in life that prevent you from living that lifestyle you hope for. And look, you might hope for a boyfriend or a girlfriend or even a family one day. And look, many people do get this, but again, it's not guaranteed. People change, make wrong choices, relationships end, people die. And look, I'm not trying to be doom and gloom here. Please don't hear me that way. The point I'm trying to make is that, do you know what, when we put all our hopes and dreams in things or people around us, and then we start to really build our lives upon them, do you know what, they're far less stable than we realize. All it takes is a couple of big sweeps of the world and all of its challenges, and those hopes are dashed. See, what could it look like to have a hope in life that actually stands the test of time? That whatever you go through, it never fades. It never gets snatched away. It's a hope that is always there and delivers at the end. Well, you remember the conversation Thomas and Jesus had. Let's look one final time at how it ends. Verse 29, Jesus said to Thomas, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." See, Thomas had an extraordinary experience. It was extraordinary. It doesn't happen to everyone. But you see what Jesus is saying to him here? Thomas, you see me with your eyes, and this has helped you believe. But Those who don't get to see me but still believe, what are they? They are blessed. Look, if this is the only thing you hear tonight, please hear the heart of Christianity. It's a belief and a trust in the Lord Jesus Christ. It is not rules and regulations. What is it? It's a relationship with a person who knows you, who loves you, who wants to bless you. And see, whether you see him with your very own eyes, like Thomas did, or whether you read the eyewitness accounts that we've got of people like Thomas and others who were there at the time, the big question is, are you going to believe in him? And all of this hinges actually on whether Jesus rose again, the moment that we're reading about here. Look, if Jesus stays dead, what is he? He's either an absolute lunatic who managed to deceive a load of people, or at best he's, I don't know, a moral teacher whose teaching has managed to last some bit of time. But if he rises again, now he's in a completely different category altogether. Here's what it means. If Jesus genuinely rises again, this is what it means. One, he backs up all his claims that he made about himself. He really is the Son of God. Two, it means the goal of his death, dealing with the sins of the world, forgiving us of the whole lot, he's achieved it. Death didn't win, he did. And here's the third thing. If Jesus really has risen again, well, then there's certain hope that life can carry on beyond the grave. He has smashed death to pieces and come out on the other side, and nothing and no one can change that. Back in chapter 11, Jesus actually brings his friend Lazarus back from the dead. But Lazarus goes on to die. No one else has ever come back to life and stayed alive. Everyone else has gone on to die, all except Jesus. But as Jesus speaks to Lazarus' sister, Martha, he says these amazing words. He says, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? Imagine with me just for a second that you go down to your local train station and you want to catch a train from your station to the city centre. Yeah? So you arrive at the platform and you see the board there up in front of you saying that the next train on platform 1, the 10:30 a.m. train, is your train to the city centre. So you read it and you start heading to the platform. But then all of a sudden you kind of have this seed of doubt flash across your mind and you think, is that board telling the truth? Is the train really coming at 10:30, platform 1 to the city centre? So you kind of get yourself a little bit worked up and you think, well, maybe I'll go and ask a couple of people who are waiting on the platform. So you go on up to them with your mask on, of course, and you say to them, excuse me, sorry, this is a bit of a silly question, but can I just ask, is the next train, the 10:30 one on platform, can I just check, is it going to the city centre? And they all nod and say, yes, it's going to the city centre. So you kind of breathe a sigh of relief. And you walk a couple of steps and it comes over your head again. But I don't know they're true. How do I know they're telling the truth? Can I really trust them? And then you look down and the train starts to roll up. And you hear then over the tannoy the announcer, next train on platform 1 is the 10:30 to the city centre. You don't know what to do. Look, question. How do you ultimately know if the train is for the city centre or not? Here's what you do. You trust and believe the information that you've been given, and then you act upon it. You step on at platform 1 at your station, and you step off at the city centre. Look, the signs are there. We have the eyewitness accounts. No one has ever found Jesus' body. The disciples didn't have it. They would have pulled it up the moment they got threatened by death. None of the non-Christian rulers had it because they would have pulled it out the moment the disciples started to say Jesus is alive. No one's ever had it. No one's found it. Instead, you know what we've got? We've got over 500 people who all testify to a risen, living, walking, talking Jesus. Look, read it for what it is, an eyewitness, truthful account. Listen, trust those around you who all talk about it to be true. And you know what, tonight, right now, hear that voice in your heart that is declaring that Jesus is alive and that there is certain hope that could be found in him. Jesus says, whoever lives by believing in me will never die.